What's going on, everybody? How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Hey.
Johnny, I see we've lost your video there for a bit, but yes, we episode 78. We're hanging out with the awesome fellas from Iron SWUG. I feel like I should play some metal music for that. But yes, we got Brad and Adam joining us here. And how are you guys doing?
Right as rain.
Yeah, I'm doing good over here.
Excellent. And you guys got Iron SWUG around the corner. For those people that don't know what Iron SWUG is, that's basically mostly what we're going to be talking about tonight. What is Iron SWUG and how did it come about, and what is your plans for this next one?
Well, man, we're only, Brad, 2 weeks from 3 hours
days.
from now?
13 days, man. 13 days.
Yeah, we'll be on the road by now for sure, but the first meeting starts at about 6 p.m. 2 weeks from today. So
yeah, it was 16th to the 22nd.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the 16th. Is that on Sunday? 17th is the official first day.
Yep. 16th is just our meetup day for everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of get in place and get staged for the ride into Nashville.
I was going to say, I'm just looking at the cities you're visiting. I'm quite jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for this year's route?
Well, so each year, about a year out, sometimes a little more than a year out, we're already looking at possibles for next year.
Mm-hmm.
But a little more than a year out, we start kind of just throwing darts at the map, right? We were going to look at Texas. That was actually doing a Texas route was kind of a good idea for us. But with 3D Experience World being there, it was like, well, we don't want to put two big events in the same location, right?
Yep.
So we said, well, why not go towards Milwaukee, the home of Harley Davidson?
So are you actually going to make your way off to Harley Davidson then?
Yes. We're actually meeting at their museum. We rented a room at the Harley Davidson Museum, and we're going to be having an event there. And it turns out it's the same night as their monthly bike night. So there's going to be bands, there's going to be bikes all over the place. So it's going to be a fun little shindig.
So I assume all those bikes and all those bands are coming because of you.
Yeah, sure.
100%.
Perfect.
Yeah, they all there for SOLIDWORKS.
I wouldn't say they weren't. I definitely wouldn't throw them out or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what would be really interesting is if any people that go to this event and see if they're SolidWorks users and actually like come across and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will be quite interesting. But what are some of the other cities? You mentioned Nashville. You're going off to, I think you said Milwaukee.
Yep. So first stop's Nashville, Tennessee. That's on Monday. Second stop's Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So right near where all the good bourbon's made. Wink. Indianapolis.
Well, I beg to differ.
Indianapolis,
I beg
Indiana.
To differ.
Yeah,
Indiana.
And Milwaukee, and then we're finishing off at Ashley Furniture's home, I guess, design location in Arcadia, Wisconsin. So we're going to be traveling all over the place.
Arcadia, Wisconsin's way up there too for people that aren't that are maybe geographically challenged. Arcadia, Wisconsin is right on the borderline of Minnesota. It's up at the very top of where the Mississippi River starts for the U.S. almost.
So you're going up to old Betty Baker.
Yes. Yep. We're gonna be hanging with Betty for an afternoon.
So I heard that to get to Ashley Furniture, that it's in the middle of nowhere.
They own the whole town, right?
I'm just looking through your website now. For those that's flying there across the bottom of the screen, ironswug.com. Has quite a route. So instead of going up and right, you're now going left, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. So we're getting farther west as we go north.
And how would this differ from last year's event in terms of mileage and that?
I think we're about the same mileage total. 2,400 miles.
Yeah. So when we started, it was originally going to start in 2020, right? And we kind of got postponed because of COVID and all that stuff. We've talked about this on the podcast before, and so we really kicked off. What was it, 22? We said, hey, 22, 2,200 miles. Hey, 23, 2,300 miles. We're getting to 24, and we're looking at ourselves like, man, if we keep up this, we're not going to be able to keep up with this.
Yeah, so it's not about the mileage anymore. It's about the destinations.
It's about the destinations. It's about the groups. It's about the interaction. It's about the networking. It's about the sharing of knowledge and getting people to meet again.
Yeah. I mean, Milwaukee SolidWorks user groups in there as well. It's a shame you aren't doing this in the dead of winter. I doubt you would even attempt that.
I try not to anymore. I have rode in the cold. I've rode in the snow. I've rode in the rain. Last year was all rain, right? But I prefer not to anymore. I'm getting a little older, and it's not as easy on the joints.
Yeah, we're doing the anti-rain dance this year because last year it rained every single day.
Even on the way back.
Yes, even on the way back.
I would have found that extremely ironic if it was rain all the way there and the way back was just beautiful weather.
Yeah, so the first year we hit a patch of rain coming out of Pensacola, and then coming out of Atlanta to Charlotte was raining cats and dogs. I mean, it was so bad the first year, that one segment, that there were semi trucks and trucks pulling off the side. It was so bad, and we're coming up through our motorcycles and getting splashed by some of these cars and semi trucks like a tsunami just coming over. There was no wearing rain gear or anything because it was just flooding us. Last year it was just a pesky rain the whole way there and back. I did get a little slippery because we was coming through, lower part of PA coming into Virginia, and we rounded this corner, dropped down this hill, and all of a sudden it looked like it was just sunshine, and all of a sudden it just dropped the rain, right? And so the immediate from 80 miles an hour trying to slow down, hitting that big gust of rain, just kind of, I think I slid a little bit into that. But
yeah, I mean, you got to try and be as safe as possible. Is anybody going to be joining you on the ride this year?
Yes, this year we've got Brad Hassel from Converge, who's a local VAR to the Southeast United States, a little small one. He's riding. Shout out to them. They're giving us a PDM vault to use for the entire event. And they decided, hey, we're going to send this other guy. He's going to ride with us. And then, Adam, you want to talk about our other rider?
Yeah, so I keep in contact with, and I'm sure all of us talk talk to the certification team quite often, but Daniel Granillo, I speak to him all the time. He lives down the road. He's only about an hour and a half from me. And so I've been trying to encourage him the last few years to get out and ride with us. And so this year, when I hit him up again, because I always try and make sure that we're good to do free certifications, you know. So if you attend the meetings, you get the opportunity. Now, not just attending meetings, you have to submit the survey. So keep that in mind. You have to submit a survey, because a survey through those emails you'll get certification link to. And so I reached out to him this year as normal, and he's like, "Guess what?" I'm like, "What's up?" He said, "I'm gonna actually ride with you guys this year." He said, "I did my evaluation at the beginning of the year and put it on my thing for my boss. He approved it, so I'm coming." So he keeps his bike out in Sturgis, South Dakota. So he's got to go out a little early, get his bike. He's going to meet us in Nashville and ride all the way up to Arcadia, and then Arcadia he'll split. He'll take his bike back to Sturgis, and then we'll come on back with just the three of us.
Oh, that'll be awesome. It's awesome that there's other users and people actually jumping in, riding with you guys. I mean, Jonny and I have spoken about how much we would actually love to join in. We'll probably just sit in some sort of vehicle around back, but
vehicle.
So we've got 4 bikes riding this time. We had 2 bikes pick up with us from Roanoke to Pennsylvania to Philly last time. We may have a bike, come in here and there. We've heard rumors of people saying, hey, they might meet up with us in one place and ride to another place. It's all kind of tingent on what they wind up doing, but we'll see how it works out.
That'll be good.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time. Unfortunately, I will not be on my own bike this year. Mine had decided to have some metal in the oil. I was changing it a couple weeks ago, doing my due diligence to be the good owner and maintenance, and of course, find metal in the oil. So I have a friend of mine that is loaning me a motorcycle for the week, and I'm trading him a bunch of bottles of bourbon and doing a full detail and service on the thing in exchange for using it.
Which is better to know ahead of time this year than the 2022 ride. Brad, we got to our meetup location, and luckily it was not too far from a buddy of mine's house, so he was able to pull his bike in, but his stator basically fried on his way down to meet up to our meetup location. So we're sitting in the garage towards the beginning of the trip in 2022, changing out a stator in his bike. I'm calling my wife like, hey, babe, can you bring us some tools? Because it takes a special socket to go inside of the housing there to take the primary stuff off and get behind there to the stator. So
yeah, I mean, that I guess that just comes with just pure experience. I mean, it's good that you checked it out and you weren't caught with your pants down, really. Halfway between Indianapolis and Chicago, and
it's the nature of riding motorcycles sometimes. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many motorcycle rides and events going up to DC and different places with buddies of mine, and anything from, I remember one time the buddy that we pulled Brad's bike into to fix it, he busted throttle cable coming into DC one time, and we're sitting in the middle of a 6-lane highway, maybe 8-lane highway, and didn't have any way of fixing it other than reversing the cable. So instead of pulling back on his motorcycle, he basically used the return cable. So now he's pushing forward to get the throttle to go, which was just a way to rig it and come back. And then I had another buddy who busted off his shifter, and he wound up having to use vice grips.
Yeah. I saw a video of a guy who he's at a traffic light and his throttle cable snapped. So he pulled it out from the throttle and just pulling the cable to
that's basically what his did. We just did a throttle cable and a return cable, so it kind of goes both ways, and we just reversed the return cable, so he was just twisting the handle in the opposite direction.
It's what happens when you ride 10,000-12,000 miles a year on a motorcycle. Things just break,
just wearing them out. I mean, because it's different even when you hit these bumps. So actually what broke his throttle cables, we hit this huge, everybody knows roads can be so perfectly smooth sometimes, right? But we hit a gap between the road and the bridge, and it was so hard and violent. That's what broke his cable.
Yeah. I mean, Brandon says he snapped his clutch cable at a traffic light, but like the roads in South Africa, especially around his area, it's just, you can't ride bikes and that kind of stuff unless they're off-road. It's so bad. So, yeah,
clutch cable, you just wound up speed shifting, right?
But I think he snapped his clutch cable in his car, which is a bit different.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a little different.
Stalls out every time you go to stop.
Yeah, you can't really just walk it home. No, but it sounds like you got a really awesome trip. You know, doing something different, going, visiting some other people. Are you creating new presentations for this? I know you did that last time. You were mad. You did, like, I think 20 new presentations, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing something similar, or are you recycling some of them?
No, we redo them every year.
At some point, we're going to run out. We got to figure something out. But as of right now, yeah, every year, brand new.
Mad. What are some of the presentations that you've got planned, or are you still kind of working on them?
Yeah, we've got them all listed on the About page of the website, so anybody can check those out. But we've got them listed by day and what we're doing. But for myself, and I'll let Brad speak to his, going from Nashville towards the end, mine are going to be Let's Play 2024 Tips and Tricks. So that's some new tips and tricks content used in a game method, which I trialed at an Outtake SWUG event last week. They really enjoyed that, so we'll do it. Then we've got the selection tool. It's a presentation I've been promising forever because I keep talking about different things in the selection tool and how you could have a presentation just around the selection. So we're going to do that, and it's a selection tool, natural selection of the selection. Then the third one will be design with intent, the master plan. The fourth one will be design for manufacturing, the win-win. And then the fifth one is going to be peak system performance. Performance is not just for hot rods.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and this year we're like changing it up. You know, we got lots of tips and tricks and all that stuff. We typically do presentations on, but like this year I'm doing one on what, where, and why, how to attend 3D Experience World.
That's going to be quite interesting because, you know, it's always kind of hard. You try to show people a 3D Experience World, but, you know, videos and that stuff, but it's that single hand experience that helps really promote it.
Yes.
So that'll be really interesting to see.
Yep, I'm doing one on just on configurations, on how to maintain configurations, called cracking the code of configurations. One on just large assemblies. You know, I'm taking a page out of a Lens book and doing a large assembly presentation. And then one is just on customization. I loved what Adam did last year with like how he customized why, and you know, showing it you know, how he did it. So I've decided like, hey, how I should customize and why should you too. And then the last one is just visualize. You know, it's an add-in with SolidWorks. You have a subscription for it. Then you get visualize, show off your product. You know, find a way to show it off to your customers. So how do you do that?
And that's a good maybe thought for going forward when we do start running out of content, right? He's kind of taking how to customize and the way I did my hardware and software and stuff and kind of using that with mine. So he's kind of taking that and showing his side of it, what he's doing. So maybe in the future when we start running out of content, maybe we do each other's content and just changing up to our perspective. Well, maybe that's some way we keep it fresh.
Yeah, have fun with it. You know. Maybe find some other presentations and throw our own spin to it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good wide variety. And you essentially streaming them all as well this year?
Yes, for sure. Watch online tab. That's a great point. Thanks, Kirby, for pointing that out, because if anybody goes to that ironswug.com and goes to watch online, they can fill that out. Right, Brad? What do we do with that information?
So when you fill that information out, yeah, no, we don't sell it. I actually get a spreadsheet of everybody who fills it out, email address and everything. And about 30 minutes to an hour before we go live, I send an email out from my Star City SWUG Gmail account. Hey, we're going live in 30 minutes. Spread the word. Here's the link. Spread it all over socials. You know, let's pack the virtual studio and let's have some fun with it. And you know, we do. While I'm presenting, Adam's doing watching the chat, and when Adam's presenting, I'm watching the chat. So we can do in-person questions and online questions as well. So we try to remain present for both virtual and in-person audiences.
Yeah, we encourage everybody to attend. If they can't attend in person, attend online, because again, those certifications are going to be tied to those emails when you do the survey at the end of at the end of each meeting. So if you stay tuned to the meeting, you get that survey done. Those surveys are going to allow us to help you get free certifications through those emails, as well as we may even be able to, we've done it in the past, but we may even be able to shave. Shave again, Brad. Tear it down.
That's my dad. That's my dad.
Yeah.
How
Your
did you
dad's
feel
got more
about your
hair on
shaving?
top, though. You got more hair on the bottom.
Yeah, I've
But
managed to
we
keep
may
it
even be able to
going,
give some more
like at
gift
the
cards
back
and
as
stuff.
well. So,
Yep. Yeah, we may even be able to do some gift cards and swag, based off those surveys and stuff too. So yeah, get in
Yeah, I
there
think
and be active and participate in the chats and the surveys.
the trickiest part with that is shipping international. I know that's,
No.
but
Yeah, that's where the gift cards will probably come a little more in handy,
Yeah.
and Dan can help us guide those navigate those waters.
yeah, but it's good that you are opening it up for kind of like an international audience. I mean, when I started doing the user groups and that stuff, because no one was doing virtual, people were afraid of virtual. You getting presenters or watching content anytime or watching these kind of events was very difficult, but people are more open to it now. I mean, I had the Jazzy Tips and Tricks presentation on my last user group with Betty Baker, Joe Lance, and John Matrician, and it was great. Everybody enjoyed that. So, yeah, being able to join from anywhere in the world is very, very helpful.
Yeah, I think after this year, Brad and I will have probably close to 20 presentations each that can be shared amongst the community, if anybody ever needs them. So,
Yeah. And I love learning, at least logging into other user groups and helping and present as well. So not only does it help me, get better at my presenting skills, but it also helps me learn the software more by creating these presentations. So it's a good thing.
I mean, even if you're doing a simple tips and tricks, quite often you learn something at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can assume that you know everything, but
Far from it. There is so much there.
Yeah, sometimes there's a nice little surprise, and
that's one thing I like also about giving these presentations too, because it challenges me as a presenter to learn more and become more and mentor more and share more, because these topics, Brad's probably in the same boat as myself, but I've got a spreadsheet and I'll just be talking to people or doing something or whatever the case may be. And I have these, I call them brain farts all the time, and my dad told me as a kid, when you have those kind of things, he said, always carry around a notebook or something, right? A little pad of paper. So you just scribble stuff down all the time and you never know what's going to stick later on. So I kind of do that with my presentation spreadsheet, right? And when I have these ideas, I throw them on there, and if they stick for 1 year, they stick. If not, they live there forever, or I delete them at some point. So
that's good. I mean, obviously, you under your back, you got a big list of sponsors there that are helping put this all together. I'm sure they'd love to have a little plug there.
Yeah. So big shout out to our sponsors this year. We have the first one, Altec, for allowing us to do that, allowing us to get out and step away from our jobs for a week and spread the word of.
That's the trickiest part I've found.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to convince your boss this is a good idea.
Well, so one thing we do to help mitigate that too is we go to Altec locations that have SWUG groups too, right? Yeah. So we're benefiting those SWUG groups, but we're also Altec is very big on giving back to the community, and they understand that it takes giving back to receive as well. So
yeah. They're quite good at supporting the user group, which is good.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. They've seen what it does. Altec has seen corporately, at least what we do, what it does for not only the users but also for the users around our community. Some of our groups hold in-person meetings at our locations, and they get to see how more beneficial the trainings can be. Our users get more efficient at their jobs, and they're, just more, I guess, used to doing it. And then, drawing a blank here, they're used to their daily day, but then they get better at what they're doing, and it's just overall a better, I guess, work environment when you're allowed to learn more, at least use the tools that you use on a daily day basis.
Yeah, and then our next sponsor, aside from Altec, without the first two sponsors up there, this wouldn't be even happening. The next one being SolidWorks User Group Network. Without that, there would be no point, right?
Yeah, you guys are helping other networks, but the network's also helping you guys kind of do these crazy, wild events. I mean, last year, you rode into the SolidWorks campus with GP on his bike. You got to have a big fanfare coming in, like celebrities. It looked awesome. Yeah, they help you out. I mean, Dan is very good at supporting these kind of cool ideas that help bring everybody together.
Yeah, for sure. Brad, you want to speak to HP or 3D Connection?
Sure. Well, a big shout out to at least HP. They hooked us up with some new G11 laptops to take on the road with us this year to show. We've got 3D Connection along as well to do. I believe we're getting some product to hand out and pass around to showcase. We all love our 3D Connection products. The Space Mouse, the 3D Connection mouse, and getting out there and actually showcasing the product a little bit, and make yourself more efficient that way.
I mean, 3D Connection were great at 3D Experience World, their little booth. They were helping all the user groups. You went there and you said, I'm a user group leader, I'm a champion, and they were willing to help you out and, in some cases, hook you up with a bit of tech to be like, yeah, go try this out, go show it off, especially if you are creating content and that stuff.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about HP. They've really helped out both last year and this year with those devices to be able to show how robust their machines are, because they are right there, placed very well in the market with what they have to offer.
Yes.
With these new G11s and some of the previous editions of the Furies, even some of their other ones that maybe not so strong as the Furies, they still hold their own in what they're doing, and even within the SolidWorks world. But then, we've got the VARs. Can't leave out the VARs. Go Engineer, GSC, Hawkridge, and Swift. All those guys are helping us out. I know Go Engineer helped us out last year as well. They provided some gift cards and such, which they may be doing a little bit of that this year. HP's definitely doing a little bit of that, as well as some monetary value to help support some of the locations like the Harley Davidson Museum.
Yeah, that's... I assume you can't get that kind of stuff for free. You got to put some money behind it, and sometimes realistically there's a limit that you as a single user can put forward. So having these really do help kind of brave that that bill and help kind of put together. It makes it that final. It's I'm trying to find the words. It just kind of brings it all together. Brandon says the HP Omen is a decent gaming laptop as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
and we also want to...
He's my computer guy. He sells all different computers. So
there you go. Nice. Well, I also want to thank Ashley Furniture. I mean, they've really opened their doors for our final stop. We're doing a big cookout lunch, and they're letting us use one of their training facilities. It's going to be a great final stop, and Betty really hooked us up with everything. I mean, it's going to be outside a nice park and everything, so it's going to be fun.
Hopefully, the weather works out for you as well.
A little free shower ain't going to hurt nobody.
Of course, after 6 days on the bike, we might need a good free shower. No, we do shower at the hotel room in the evenings. But it is wide open, and we barely even have time for that. I mean, it's nonstop. It's ride, present, sleep, ride, present, sleep. So eating in between where we can and showering where we can, all that kind of plays in, but it's wide open.
And people can track you again. I see there's a tab for tracking us.
Yes, I have a spot wallet tracker. So if you go to that, when it goes live on the 16th, it will follow us every 5-minute interval. We will have like it'll pop up on the screen, a little motorcycle, and so you'll be able to see where we're at. So if you're one of the user group leaders who are trying to figure out where we're at, if we're not answering the phone or whatever, you can see where we're going.
If you sat for too long, maybe you ran out of gas or something.
We also try and keep up with the Iron SWUG Facebook page that you can see on there as well. So we'll post photos and different posts and stuff throughout that time. You can follow us on the Facebook page if you want to there too.
Yes.
But we'll try and keep you up to date and stuff like that there too.
Yeah. So that'll be all be going live on the 16th that morning as we go.
You don't have a little cameraman this time?
Yes, we do. My oldest son's going to be riding with me this time.
So your oldest son is riding for sure. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, he said he wanted to, and
first time exclusive.
Yeah, he said he wants to.
Yeah, my younger son did it the last 2 years, and this year he's just so into football. He's not wanting to miss practice for that because he's going into his sophomore year and doing pretty good. And when you miss practices and stuff, they kind of demote you per se in the games and stuff. So he's really excited about being part of football. So he's elected not to come. So Brad's been talking about his son coming, and I thought that was an awesome opportunity, whether my son came or not, for his son to come.
Yeah, he'll be 13 in July, so this will be like his first big road trip with Dad on the motorcycle. So it'll be something for him to do. I told him he can come along, but he's got to do some work, camera, help us lug stuff, all that jazz.
Yeah, so now Brad gets to experience that sudden thud on the back of your helmet, where your son has fallen asleep and his head just crashed into yours.
It's not unheard of.
Well, it should capture some nice footage like you did last time. I would find my little, because I see there's a picture of a little SWUG motorbike squishy thing. I've packed it away now. Jonny and I managed to get some SWUG so some Iron SWUG swag thanks to Mr. Dan Swagner.
Dan Swagner, the swag man.
You got any exclusive swag for this year?
We went back to the same stuff.
Yep. I will say we don't have T-shirts this year. I was working on that with our local HR stuff for Altec, and that's been a little bit of a roadblock. But we do have the squish balls and the hats again this year. So those are always a big. The hats, man, are like a commodity. It's like trading, like you trade for hats.
Yeah, the hats.
Adam's wearing his one now, aren't you?
Yes, sir. The hats and the squish balls, both of those were very well received and liked by everybody this last year. So we just did those again. They got the Iron SWUG on that, and then on the side it says.
Yep, our T-shirt vendor kind of fell through, but the first year, I would say I'm a little disappointed about not having shirts this year, but I will say not having to lug 50 T-shirts around is a good thing, because the first year we were driving along and I'm like, something doesn't sound right. We pull over to eat lunch, and I look down and the bag is open and there's a shirt wrapped around my axle. I apparently had closed it with the sleeve hanging out the back, and it had wrapped the axle and flopped under there. And so it's been, I seem to be the one causing all the chaos for these road trips. I don't know.
Yeah, it got up in your brakes and stuff a little bit too. It's kind of smelling a little funny after a while.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
Yeah, you kind of want to avoid that, I guess.
Yeah. Are my brakes glazed over? No, it's just a T-shirt.
What's worse?
I mean, yeah, Iron SWUG is an awesome event that you guys have created, and that it's a highlight of the year. It's something that I'm hoping at least once I can come over and at least visit in one location, maybe, and try and pull that off. What other plans do you have for Iron SWUG in the future? Because
So
it's getting bigger and bigger. I'm sure you guys are still, or you're already kind of thinking into the future. Or you want to get this done and then worry about that later.
we've looked at several different things. Of course, we've looked at possibly the UK. That would be a great opportunity to maybe do something over there with your guys' area.
Yes.
There's a lot of groups in that and stuff over there. We definitely looked at Texas. Of course, I don't want to say Texas is off the table, but again, 3D Experience World is in Texas again next year, and we don't want to get two big events in the same place. So that could be a couple years from now. Sturgis, a ride to Sturgis, why not? Just because we can, and there's motorcycles involved, and there's groups along the way, right? There's one. Next year, and we're not going to throw anything out there for sure, but there's just to give a teaser, next year is either going to be renting or shipping bikes, maybe, is what we're talking about right now. So if that gives you an idea, it could be a little distance from our area just to get set up and where we need to be.
Yeah, like that got me thinking. Like, if you wanted to do like something on the West Coast, you got to get there first.
Yeah.
So it might make sense to rent some bikes, or like you said, ship your bikes.
Yep. Yep, and that's the great thing about where we've done this, and this is being our third year in a row doing it. Would have been the fifth year if COVID didn't happen, but where it's the third year doing it, our sponsorship has really grown, and people that are sponsoring us are liking what we're doing and seeing their name get out there and what we're out and educating and stuff, and so they're ready to get behind us. And through that, I think is going to give us the ability to go further away and get staged for different places.
Yeah, I mean, this whole event, alongside with what Matthew Hall and Leonard did getting to World, they took a train from Boston all the way down to Dallas for World. And I was like, you know what? England's got lots of trains. Europe's got lots of trains. So it's the first time kind of bringing it out publicly, but we're doing a little road trip type thing, starting up north by Jonathan, going down to London, going across to Belgium for a user group, and then ending off in Paris at the Dassault Systems user head office, and basically 4 meetings over 4 cities, 3 countries, which is what we're adding into it.
Nice.
So if that's successful, I don't see why we can't do a little like collab.
Yeah.
Or fuse it into one. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, you're doing so. Are you ready or willing to give the name for that? From what I've heard, it's going to be a spinoff, or you not want to?
We were thinking of doing Iron Rails, but there's no like SWUG or link to SolidWorks or SWUG in there. So I think we just
Iron Rail SWUG.
Rail SWUG.
Rail SWUG.
But we also don't want to limit ourselves to just trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the other problem. So I think we were just going to go with like Euro SWUG or something like that.
Euro SWUG. There you go.
Because that way,
like
every year you can adapt it to different parts of Europe.
I was going to say, if you wanted to limit it to trains, right? When we bring our bikes over there, rent bikes, we'll just take the tubes off of them, and we'll just ride. I'll ride one track, Brad rides the other rail, and we'll just tandem ride down the rail together.
I mean, you can load your bikes onto the train to take it through the English Channel.
There you go.
I mean, Milwaukee SolidWorks Group says planes, trains, and automobiles SWUG.
Yeah, there you go. Planes, trains, and automobiles SWUG.
Yeah, we thought of playing on the trains thing, but like I said, it limits, especially if you're going kind of East Europe. If we wanted to go to Greece or something like that, then the rail system isn't as well connected as is around France and that. If we wanted to go to Portugal as well, there's no decent rail networks going that direction.
Planes, trains, and automobiles makes me think, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Euro SWUG.
So yeah, it was just going to 3D Experience World, learning about your event, finding out how other people have traveled to World and listening to their stories, and it's birthed, a little idea that let's see if we can do this in a different part of the world.
Yeah, I remember there was a guy. Was it this year or last year? It was last year, I think, to Nashville. There was a Spanish dude from down South Mexico that drove all the way, and once he hit the Texas border, he still had like 2 days or 2 or 3 days worth of driving. That didn't count the Mexico time. So yeah, people travel long distances and do what they can do to get the world sometimes. So
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's really worth it.
Yeah.
it is.
and that's kind of one of the things that we hope to do with Iron SWUG, coming out of the COVID years. Getting more people active in person at their local
Yes.
meetings, as well as refiring off like this whole SWUGGing community together nationwide is kind of what we hope to do. And the Northeast year, we hit New York, and the New York leader that we were there talking to, by the end of the meeting, he had like 2 or 3 other presenters ready to go. He was fired up. He had his people fired up about it, and he was ready to go afterwards. And that was his first meeting back since COVID. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do with Iron SWUG. Like, let's inspire some people, even if it's just to come out and have food and talk with us. They don't have to ride a bike, they don't have to ride a car. Let's kind of just get people together and talk about our favorite software.
That's 100% like with the European version of this. Johnny's had his group for like a year, 2 years. You haven't done any in person, have you?
Nope, not one yet.
So this will be here's a great opportunity to do a in-person meeting, and we'll figure out the logistics and all that stuff and who's going to present later. But there's ideas like, let's help you get an in-person meeting. The user group in Belgium, he had kind of gone off the wagon a bit, stopped doing meetings and that because he didn't really want to use Meetup, and he actually thought he had to use Meetup. And we're like, no, you don't have to. Like, just because you're not using Meetup doesn't mean you can't have a live user group. So he's really keen to get going again, and that's going to bring to life a user group in an area that doesn't have one.
When we went through last year, Albany, New York was one of our stops, and they haven't met since before COVID. When I may be repeating what Brad said, but yeah, when we left there, he already had several lined up, ready to go after that. And it's not only that, it's starting user groups. So first year we was down, we did the Pensacola SWUG, and when we did it, we met up. They were having a hard time finding a place to meet, so I helped him work with the local college in that area. And through that, we was able to find students that were interested, maybe want to either attend his or start one themselves. And then this year, we're going to be at one of the Altec places that doesn't have a SWUG, so it's going to be an introduction to them. They have a small group of people there, but it'll be an introduction to them. Maybe get them to kick one off. So,
yeah, and I've got a little presentation of what is a SOLIDWORKS user group. So we can add that into what that is. What is it? How do you get involved? That kind of thing. It's one of those things where we're really trying to spur on the community and just be good examples of what a SWUG is.
Yeah, the user group network is very, very key. It's just as valid as it was 10 years ago, I feel.
It is. Well, you have passionate people, and you have people that want to. Somebody's passionate because they're always talking about what they do, how they work, what they're working on, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And people that are passionate want to have a place to have that outreach or to source that energy and either gain more energy and momentum or help other people get the energy and momentum that they have. It's contagious, right?
Yeah.
You're making me feel like I need to plan a meetup, seeing as it's been about 5 months.
Do it. It's like I'm picking up momentum with it. A goal for this year from 3D Experience World is try and at least do one a month. And the last 3 that I've done have been consistent, and people are coming back for it and they're enjoying it. And that came from just being inspired, just being at World. So I always call World the big like battery reset.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
You get drained of energy because of the event, but you leave there energized wanting to do more. You've seen what all the other people have done. You feel like, I can do more. I can do that. I can try that. Let me do this. Even if you're finding people to do presentations, I mean, the jazzy tips and tricks that I had, the presentation, I got that on my user group this past week. I mean, Jonny had, what was it, Michael Lord?
Yeah, I had Michael do a customized user interface and shortcuts kind of thing. And then before that, I had Tom Coate do PDM and the uses and advantages of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have felt this as well, and Jonny maybe. There was something interesting about going back to basics in terms of these presentations and these tips and tricks, that a lot of people kind of looked at him like, hang on, I didn't know that. I didn't know that trick. You know, that why should I watch a basics tips and tricks when I'm pretty good at SolidWorks? And so many people were like, you know what, that's actually going to help me.
Yeah, one of my presentations last year was Basics 101, right? And I did it at World, and I didn't get a huge turnout at World. It was a big group, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a group that I thought would have came for it. And I think it was because most people thought it was Basics 101. In reality, what it was is it was just a basics, but it was just as good for anybody that was new versus anybody that had been experienced and seasoned 10, 15 years, right? Because
it's that refresher.
It's a refresher. And through that presentation, I ask a lot of questions. I get the audience involved to give me the answers. And through that, people realize that they forgot a lot, or they're not using a lot, or whatever the case is. And it helps build that refresher and helps tie in the fundamentals are the keystone of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people you get kind of focused on your job at hand, and then you forget, oh, I've got to get this done as fast as possible. And then you forget those little tips that actually make you faster. If you would take a minute, step back, and think about what you're doing first. And having those 101 style classes will give you, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot how to do that. And then, yeah, the S key, mouse gestures, using mouse gestures. You like, I do sheet metal all the time. And then every once in a while, I'm like, wait a minute, I have to go in and practice on some other stuff, surfacing or weldments and stuff, and going back and learning those things again is really beneficial because it makes you more efficient as a user all around.
And I like what you said, Kirby, too, about being energized, coming from World, getting energized, wanting to do one every month. I know with my group, at the beginning of every year, we set them up every odd month on the third Thursday, and then the Outtake one that's next to us, and we set up on the even month third Thursday. So there is one every month. But we go ahead and put it on our meetup and on the calendar so everybody expects those things to happen. And I would encourage other leaders to do the same thing, because not only is it giving them an expectation it's going to happen, but hold your feet to the fire as a leader to make it happen.
Yeah,
exactly. I put mine on the calendar, and I know that's the day I'm going to do it. If come hell or high water, I either find a presentation or I make one myself to do. And consistency is key when you're starting to do these meetings. If you can reliably do it on the same day, or keep it every other month, or your users will start to, and I wouldn't say expect it, but they'll be more looking for their email inbox or their meetup page to see, okay, when's the next one? Okay, it's the same week as it was last month, that kind of thing.
Yeah, consistency is key. I love how you said that, Brad. Consistency is key. But we're all kings of procrastination, and if we allow ourselves to procrastinate, we're going to do it. So
yeah, it's similar to kind of how YouTube metrics work and all that kind of stuff. It's it's how television works. People have a specific ritual for specific days, specific shows, specific things. If you can get yourself to be part of that person's ritual, and they expect on that specific day something's going to happen, they will make sure they have their time freed up for that. It's being consistent with it. I mean, a lot of people on YouTube kind of fall off because they, not getting all the views and all that stuff. But if you just keep going, they will come back and they will return if they expect it. And it's the exact same psychology for user group network. So, yeah, just being consistent really helps out. And Brad, what you do kind of blew my mind. The fact that you just set up a meeting. Who's going to present? I don't know. What's it going to be? I don't know. But it's that date.
I found that it makes me keeps me consistent as well. So I know, okay, here's the meetups that I've got to do, and if I can't find somebody to do one, then I'm going to start looking at either old presentations that worked or new presentations that I want to try, or reaching out to people that I, either locally, like we've got a Baja SAE team or a Formula SAE team at one of the local schools. We've got a First Robotics team at a couple of the local schools, and I'm going to try to reach out to them this year and have them do presentations for us. Talk about what they're doing, show how they're designing parts, and even if it's not a standard traditional meeting where I'm doing the tips and tricks or I'm doing a class, it gives somebody a chance to come in, learn a little bit about some CAD and some STEM education, and it keeps them engaged.
Yeah, it doesn't always need to be a tips and tricks. Sometimes a good story of someone showing off the stuff they make in SolidWorks is enough.
Yeah, my last meeting was like that. We had a company that invited us to come over. They showcased what they built, and that was the whole presentation. This is what we built, and they gave us a plant tour, and it was great.
Yeah, my first presentation or presenter that I had for my very first user group was Luke Daly, showing off the stuff he's made, all the props and that he's made in Star Wars. And he had the props there for people to play around with and put the Kylo Ren helmet on their head and all that kind of stuff. No one learned anything new about SolidWorks. No one learned any tips or tricks. But they got inspired by, hopefully thinking a bit differently about how to approach a design or things that they can make in SolidWorks, because it's not just a mechanical kind of parts or anything like that.
That's why I like the makers. That's why I like the Maker Zone. Seeing what y'all do with the Maker Zone last year at World was pretty cool. Building little robots and stuff, taking something that you normally would think as a giant industrial software to build, what we build cranes and bucket trucks, and then converting it into something like somebody can build a part for their, little robot that they're doing for school. I like doing that.
I mean, it was interesting to see how many educators came up and they're like, "Do you have this as like a lesson plan?" And we didn't think of it that way. But it opened up the idea. It's like, this can easily be turned into a lesson plan, for schools. So it did, it's makers making stuff, but it branched out to a lot of people. I think there were a few people also talking about like team building type of exercises with the little robots. So definitely for next year, we've got bigger ideas. How can we make it better, more efficient, more streamlined, add more customization to it, see if there's a way that we can actually have people design something on the fly and have it 5 minutes later so they can actually add it to their little robot.
Yeah, that's cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nothing more, nothing puts more pressure on you than having to design in front of people.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. And nothing usually causes something to break more than when somebody's watching you either.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of the dreaded presenter curse. While you're presenting, that's when SolidWorks decides to crash.
Every time someone stands behind me and I show them something at work.
Had somebody call me for troubleshooting earlier today. He was like, "I can't get this to do that." And he's like, "Okay, never mind. Have a good day."
Yeah, it is fun, and I'm sure your presentation about 3D Experience World is going to be highlighting all of these same kind of things, but there's always something interesting happening at World. I find it fascinating that you guys are building these massive trucks. Jonny, you're building these, pressure systems. Stuff that I design are just little jigs and stuff that help count things or hold things together, You get put into a room next to someone who's designing something completely different, but you're using the same software, you speak the same language, and, you can work with each other to make yourself efficient and work with each other.
That was very much my meetup at World. When at Kirby, you were there.
Yes.
Everyone came from different industries using SolidWorks and DS products in different ways, and we solved the same problems in terms of people, software, ways of thinking, how to prove you need more resource, etc. And it wasn't because we were all engineers, because we weren't. It was just because people were in a room networking, solving problems collectively.
Yeah, that's part of my drive home point for Basics 101 presentation is language. So we all speak the same language, know the language. You know, it's you go to Mexico and live for several years, you're going to learn to speak Spanish, right? I mean, it's part of the language. Why is it any different for the software that we use?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with Johnny's presentation, I found it fascinating that, you know, everybody, like you said, everybody's got the same problem to solve, but because everybody's different backgrounds, there's a different approach, and hopefully people learn stuff from each other, just by, you know, solving these problems together. I'm trying to think of the word not brain spotting. It's completely clear in my mind now. Yeah, but just sharing each other's ideas and that stuff. It's always fun and fascinating, and it's even more fun.
Brainstorming.
That's the word. I was so close.
I thought you were thinking some kind of cyborg we all simulates.
Nah, it's just the idea
Star
of
Trek.
brainstorming. But it's also important to brainstorm with people outside of your industry and outside of your usual network.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee if you guys have a problem with one of your trucks and you would ask Johnny and I to brainstorm some ideas, we would have some wacky ideas that, you know, maybe not, we'll just throw stuff at the wall, whatever sticks. You know, 9 times out of 10 it'll be wrong, but maybe there's something we can come up with that could help. We are open to that.
That would be fun. Design a crane with Johnny and Kirby.
I think we do better than you think.
It'd be a fun exercise to try, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down for it.
Whether you'd be able to make it from Kirby's one-part model might be a different challenge.
It's not about our modeling techniques. This is about brainstorming. Yeah. Thing is, I just design mostly for myself or for internal stuff, so I'm not going to define those sketches. I'm not going to label every feature.
Have you ever seen Eric Beatty's presentation, the Butcher's Knives and Bondo one?
I have not. I really want to see that one.
That's Kirby's model.
Basically, it's a whole presentation on how to fix the models that I make. But, you know, he's fixing them for efficiency. You know, I'm not too worried if that 1,000 feature part takes 5 minutes to open, you know.
Yeah,
It
but go ahead.
just means I can stream through TikTok for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, see, I'm of the we got to get it done quick because we've got a guy on the floor who can't put something together, and I need to figure out how to open it faster. You know, you got 5,000 parts in an assembly. You know, what's causing this interference problem? We got to download it as quick as possible and troubleshoot it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the latest thing I had to make, we keep losing the keys to all the machine doors and that stuff. So I just printed a bunch. So it's really like 5-minute CAD kind of stuff. But I do want to start designing and making stuff a bit more, and just get back to making and 3D printing and designing things for myself.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. I don't have as much time for it.
Yeah, I'd love for somebody just to donate me a 3D scanner. I'm just 3D scan my bike and stuff and design my own parts. That'd be fun. But, you know, a $30,000-$40,000 3D scanner is not nothing I can, you know, use on the day-to-day.
I mean,
we just got an amazing bit of kit. Some like vision system where you can drop tiny parts on and it measures them perfectly, no matter what the orientation is, and then it tells you which ones are out of tolerance to like micron level accuracy.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
Absolutely incredible.
Nice.
So
you can just reverse engineer it.
Yeah. How many of those can it do in like a minute?
So if you put, say, 100 parts on the measuring plate, it'll measure them in about 5 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Different parts or the same part?
It has to be the same part at that point, but you can probably program it to recognize different. This thing's like incredible.
do you have to
Yeah, it's-
calibrate the machine
No,
to that
self-calibrate.
specific part? No, to that specific part.
So the first time you put the part on, you have to like tell it what features you want to measure. Yeah.
So I would assume it's for something like first article inspection. You order 10,000 of a part, and you throw
Yeah,
100 of them on there, and say,
Yep.
okay, find the ones that are inaccurate.
Yeah. So we would do some of the stuff we do is 100% inspection on up to like 5,000 parts. So if you imagine the poor quality guy who has to measure them, this machine just changed his life or sacked him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
he's-
usually the guy, especially my machines. We're doing a big calibration run, and for our calibration parts, there's probably about 200 of them in each build. We've got to do 6 machines, and I've got to measure all of them. Each one has 6 points of measurements.
Oof.
And there's me with the little caliper, just measuring. I don't mind it because I just put some YouTube on or something, or put a TV series, and just crack on with it. But yeah, we started doing what's called fair reporting, where we send parts to a company, they 3D scan it, and they compare that 3D scan with the 3D model, and gives you like a heat map of where it's intolerance and where it isn't intolerance. So we're busy experimenting with that, and going to start offering that kind of stuff.
That's pretty slick. Like that.
Yeah, Johnny, I'm going to pick your brain on this machine.
Oh mate,
It's-
honestly, I've just hang on, I've just pulled it up.
Go on. Show the class.
Hang on, I've lost the screen now. There, it's this thing. So it's like a vision measurement system, but you see how it gives you like the exact value with tolerance bands, pass fail, and then that's what it's like viewing on its bed. And then ours has this little probe that comes out, so it can do like really tiny little probe measurements. It's a really good bit of kit. I'll send you the DLs, Kirby, but it's not the cheapest thing in the world.
Yeah, I thought that was mine. Thought funny for a minute when you were scrolling down. It has the little logos right there, Twitter and all that. And I'm like, I almost thought that was we accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
You might need quite a credit limit.
Yeah, but if you, I mean, I could see where this would be beneficial, because one of the companies I worked for in the past, we had to first article inspect 10% of every order, and for military compliance, and having something like this would be a game changer.
Yeah, that's a lot of our stuff's aerospace, military, and stuff. And like if you think of just like a simple cylinder with a through bore, ours will have like a very, very fine radius, like 0.05 millimeter, and it has to be like plus or minus 0.01. And measuring that by hand is just impossible. So this is life changing. Our suppliers and machine shops now hate us, but
Sorry, this one didn't pass.
Johnny, just never measure the stuff we send you.
yeah, you're all right, mate. Yours is more display pieces.
Yeah, it's the nature of 3D printing. Like, you can't control the cooling and the shrinkage on it as much as you can with injection molding. But
Have you? I got a question for you, Kirby. Have you heard of tough PLA?
tough PLA, we don't use kind of PLAs and that stuff, because we all powder based fusion and that stuff. But I have heard of like a tough PLA. I assume it's tough PLA.
So it prints just like PLA. It has the same qualities, but after you print your PLA, you know how PLA is really brittle. You take this and then you anneal it in like a little small oven at like 170 degrees Fahrenheit, or I don't know, whatever that converts to Celsius, for like an hour, and it makes it more ductile, so it makes it less brittle. It's made for something that you want. It's made for some makers that don't have access to like a machine that can do nylon or ABS plastic.
I can see kind of what that does. That annealing, the sintering process, fuses the layers together. Kind of, I can see what it's doing. It's basically just connecting all the chains of the molecules.
I'm making it.
If you want to go to that point, but yeah, that's quite interesting. I actually haven't seen that. I know you get a lot of these PTG, for example, is like supposed to be prints like PLA, strong like ABS. But yeah, there is a lot of. It's just something that I found fascinating about 3D printing. Technology hasn't changed much in like 10 years. other than the peripheral technologies. You know, the ability to auto level, the ability to swap colors, the different materials, the different finishing processes. But the actual process is just hot glue
FDM
gun on a
printing is
CNC.
and it's been around since the early 80s. Like the original one the patent expired in like 2006 or something. It wasn't
Yes.
It wasn't like something that was, groundbreaking. Somebody already did it, and then they're like, "Oh, patent's expired.
Yeah.
Now we can make it cheap."
That's when like MakerBot and Prusa and that started kind of jumping
Yeah.
on the technology, and the boom of 3D printing cracked on
That-
from there.
That would be a great SWUG presentation, the history of 3D printing, and do like a full history on why it's now suddenly a big boom of like popularity and where it went, where it is now.
I thought I seen that somewhere. I don't know where the world or where, but I thought I seen a presentation on that.
I'm just going to take some notes.
Yeah, take those notes down because I sound like we got Kirby going to be doing a 3D printing class for me.
Because like I've done the design for 3D printing presentation, but there isn't that much to it. Maybe if you add that kind of understanding of 3D printing, it's also introducing the how does it link back to SolidWorks. But that's something that I'd have to figure out. That's an interesting kind of presentation. I know the guy who invented 3D printing, I think his name's Chuck Hall. He's British.
Like, no, we're just going to take a glue gun and just draw a circle with it.
Why not?
And now look what we do with it. It's an amazing technology. I really enjoy it. Do you guys do much 3D printing on your trucks?
Not for the commercial parts that we sell, but we do a lot for prototyping, and we're just test fitting things, fixturing, and things like that. But all of our stuff gets put out in, unless we can find some 3D print material that can withstand being soaked in water or grease and still be a dielectric, we have to shy away from it, especially when you get into high voltage situations.
Yeah. I wouldn't know if I was. We could soak yours. We can soak ours in water. We've got a company that makes little submarines with our parts, little remote controlled submarines.
I was gonna say it wasn't the one that went down to see the Titanic.
I was going to say, what was it called? Titan.
These ones are yellow and don't hold people.
Okay.
Well, that one doesn't hold people anymore either.
I was going to say, yeah. The ones you make don't really curve you.
They're watertight. We found anything above 3 mil.
That one's not.
It doesn't need any form of impregnation to keep it watertight.
That's pretty neat. That's one of the things that we've run into is like we want to try these new technologies, but we're in the electric utility industry is very governed by local law or OSHA standards and things, and you got to make sure you follow those before you even attempt to release a product. And that stuff, government regulation takes a while to kind of go around unless you test it.
That's the
with your own
problem.
money.
We get customers being like, "Oh, can this withstand freezing temperatures that are like below 50 degrees Celsius?" We're like, "I don't know. You want to test it?" It's like, we've never done it, but there's one. The spec sheet says it does, but
Yeah.
we've never tested it, and that's kind of the tricky part. But yeah, we're getting all of our ISO certifications and that stuff, so
Yeah.
that helps out. But I don't think we're building any trucks.
No, it's in just in general. It depends on what industry you work in. We just happen to be in one that's a little bit more regulated. But I would love to be able to get some more 3D printed things, like doing covers and grab handles and things that user interface. Trying to make things more elegant, easier to produce, and 3D printing seems to be where that's going.
I mean, a lot of our stuff that we do, we can class as injection mold like and can be end use. We'll chat about that.
That'd be fun.
I'll get you a discount link. Get you printing some stuff.
Normally, it gives you the discount link after you've spent a few thousand.
I gave you a discount on your first order.
No, you didn't. Oh, my first personal order you did, yeah. My work one you didn't. I got a discount the last time. I got 20% off.
I gave you a discount the first time. The second time you didn't because I wasn't there.
I don't know, mate. It's not my money.
So what's the problem?
Just stating a fact.
But yeah, this is kind of the kind of conversation that I feel like the user groups in person are very good because got on a real tangent there, talked about some awesome stuff. But I think this is a good place to wrap up our little episode about Iron SWUG.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your event next week. No, it's the week after. I might be able to catch a couple of your things. I've got family over that week, so I've got to entertain.
Well, so the good news is with this year we've got 3 lunch and learns, so they'll be 5 p.m. your time, I think, roughly.
That's going to be the second day, the third day, and the last day.
Yep, they'll be around 5 p.m. your time to pick up, and then the rest of them are going to be closer to bedtime for you guys.
Yeah. No, I'll keep an eye. I'm going to register right now. Let me find that. There's the watch online. I'm going to post that as well in the chat.
Correct.
I think I did, but I'll do it again.
If anyone does want to watch any of these presentations online, I know Brandon's looking to learn a bit of SolidWorks, so he might jump into some of those tips and tricks. Yeah, and then
Maybe check that link out in the description at some point.
So in the video description, there should be a link to the Iron SWUG.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yes, it is there. I'm looking right at it.
Yep.
Yeah, this whole episode I said I've had the link flying across the screen as well. So just Google Iron SWUG. It should be right on the top. Iron Swing will not get you there.
Nope.
That's what Google wants the whole time. But I think if we all Google enough times, it'll get the picture and it'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Kirby, Jonny, we appreciate you guys hosting us on here and letting us talk a little bit about Iron SWUG and getting it out there even more for more people to be able to hear about it.
You're welcome whenever you want.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's nice to be able to get out and at least talk about it a little bit. I'm sure my coworkers are tired of hearing about it.
They just heard about it for the last hour as well, Brad. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. They all have headphones on.
I mean, I was thinking about it, like I hear a bit about it because I'm in the committee, you two are in the committee, so it gets spoken a bit there. I don't know where there's anywhere else that you kind of talk about it and share about it.
So SWUG leader meeting, we've hit it just about every week on the SWUG leaders meeting. If you go to the meetups are just littered with it everywhere now, so that's a good thing for everybody to be posting and getting the word out that way too. I think that they're trying to do some news blasts through SolidWorks.
Yep, SolidWorks socials have been posting it on, I believe, Facebook and Instagram, and I think they're doing some like a blog post or something about it as well. So, they're getting it out just like we are. We're just trying to, spread the word a little bit, get some people in, and have some fun conversations about SolidWorks in general.
Yeah, I know Brad and myself have also threw it out on social media stuff, as well as David at Smart SWUG. He's done some of that too. So, yeah, if anybody wants to post it on their LinkedIn or whatever else account, they can do so as well.
Yeah, and it's 5 stops, 2 presentations each stop. I think it's 5 stops. Yeah.
Yep. First year we did 6 stops.
20
and found out how much more work that was. It's amazing how just taking off one stop actually let us breathe a little.
Yes. Yeah, 10 presentations across a week. I think it's going to be awesome. You guys are nuts. You're crazy, but that's what makes it awesome. Like all these new presentations, they're going to be great, and I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to doing it, and we thank you for letting us come on.
I appreciate that. Okay, let's find the thingy.
Here we go.
Before I do that, you do have your socials on your website as well, and you've got the under right info. All your information's there.
You click on our photos, it goes directly to our LinkedIn's.
Yeah,
so.
And track us. You got the link to the Facebook as well. That's fantastic. I'll just post the Facebook link here as well, just to make sure it's there. Get you as much. Hopefully, you get some people swinging across there and checking it out. But yes, I've got to do socials on this side. If you want to follow me, I'm at KJ Designs 365.
At Kessel Run Creations for me.
If you want to see when we go live next, anything we're getting up to on Instagram, we're at the Core Podcast.contact. On Facebook, we're the Core Podcast with the O is a 0. On Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok, we are the Core Podcast. Johnny, we still got to do a TikTok dance.
There's time yet. There's time yet.
I'm going to have to deep fake it. Brad, Adam, thank you very much for joining us. It's been awesome hanging out, chatting about Iron SWUG and just SOLIDWORKS, our industries, stuff that we get up to. It's been awesome. And thank you very much, everybody who's joined us, watched, asked some questions, and left some comments. Thank you very much for joining us. See you guys in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye. There's a button. There's